Hello everyone and welcome on today's webinar. The topic will be the latest MobileNAV release, the 6.0. I'm Bertalan, Partner Manager at MultiSoft, and I'm going to kick off the today's session. My partner in crime will be Tibor Major, the Business Unit Director of the Innovative Solutions at MultiSoft. You might already know him. 6.0 is a new major release. It will bring a lot of exciting features we've been waiting for, and some of them we are waiting for a long time, like push notifications, map view, current position, but I don't want to steal the show from Tibor. He will discuss these later in detail. And as we start most of our webinars with a short review of our current product portfolio and product news, partner news, I want to jump to this to get over it quickly because I don't want to waste too much time on this. But it's important to emphasize that we have further products beside MobileNAV. So the first product of ours was MobileNAV. We started to develop it in 2012, I believe. It is our universal, customizable, offline capable mobile solution for every platform, including iOS, Android, BlackBerry, Windows CE, Windows Mobile, Windows 8, and Windows 10. And it is available for NAV users from NAV 2009 to the latest Business Central versions, including the SaaS version, so you can find MobileNAV in the App Stores as well. As I mentioned, this was our first product that we have started to develop, and it is quite successful because we have now more than 200 partners in 70 countries and more than 8,000 end users. Based on MobileNAV, we have developed two specific solutions. One for warehousing, we call VMS MobileNAV. It focuses more on the warehouse-related features such as workflows, barcode reading, label printing, etc. And we have another specific solution, which is a connected field service solution. We call it ServOcean. We have integrated it with Time Scheduler. We have created an automatic resource allocator in it, checklist function, and a lot of more useful features for field service. And as Hungary is not a big enough country on the map of Satya Nadella, we don't have our official localization for Business Central. Neither did we do for the perpetual licenses, perpetual NAV licenses. Therefore, we had to create our own localization. It is available for BC, cloud, and on-premise versions as well, and you can download it from the App Stores again. So if you guys have any client who has a subsidiary in Hungary and they need local service, please feel free to contact us, and I'm sure that we will be able to assist you. We have two products that we have recently published again into the App Stores. You can find these as well. First one is Rebios. The name comes from Recurring Billing Scheduler, as it is a talking name. The solution helps you to create periodically repeating invoices and sales orders. And the other one is the MD Sync, which is a master data synchronization tool. This makes your life easier if you wish to share data such as contracts, customers, items, stock, etc. between companies in the same database. With synchronization validation option to select the data to be synchronized, master-slave tiering, I believe it can be again an exciting product in a lot of cases. And we plan to do webinars about products in the future. Before I hand over the control to Tibor, there's one more thing I want to talk about. As you might know, Microsoft globally decreases the partner margins on perpetual licenses, and it has an effect on the ISV device licenses, which we sell attached to the MobileNAV licenses too. So the ISV device call is a favorable option if the client uses MobileNAV for only a specific field such as sales, or warehouse, service, or manufacturing. And this way they don't need to purchase a full user, and it costs much less. So the license price will remain the same, but the margin will be lower, effective from the 1st of October, I believe. And therefore we want to boost sales before that date, so everyone will receive a higher partner margin until that date. So we introduce a quick promotion. I know the time is not very long until that date, but make the best of it. So if you order MobileNAV licenses with ISV licenses attached until the 22nd of September, we will be able to grant you the higher margin from the ISV licenses still. And we apply 20% additional discount from the MobileNAV licenses as well. So if you are planning any purchases in the near future, any MobileNAV license purchases, then you should consider to do it faster, so we can grant you additional discounts from it. And I think it's very generous because we have never granted any discount for MobileNAV licenses before. So yeah, consider it. And one last thing, I promise, before Tibor can start, as we are facing the pandemic again, some says it's the beginning of the second wave. We urge you to stick together because we believe, or I believe, that together we can sort things out always. So if you have any struggles with payments like enhancements, or you are considering to order MobileNAV licenses for your client, but the timing is not right, please let us know and we will figure it out, I promise. So stay safe and healthy. Now I hand over the control to Tibor and the virtual microphone. So Tibor, if you are ready, grab the presenter right and do your part.
Okay, so welcome everyone. I hope you can show my screen. So my honor is to show you the latest version. Let's jump into the next release, which is going to be 6.0. As we promised, we are now constantly increasing the major version. So every major release will increase the major version. So now we are about to release 6.0. And let's see the scope. Push notifications. That was coming and going over the years, and we have now decided to implement it. We have not seen a too high demand for that for now, but now we have decided to can be much better if we implement the push notifications for MobileNAV. Next thing is the map view. From 6.0, you will also see it later on. You can also use a map and switch the list into a map view mode, and there we will show you the addresses and your customers or service tasks. So basically, you can use it for multiple purposes. Together with that, we have also introduced the ability to record the current GPS position at a certain task. So if the user presses a button, then you can enforce that he should register his current GPS position because of anything like control or anything else. And a couple of other productivity stuff like configurable predefined filters. What does that mean? From 6.0, starting from the base configuration, you can configure simplified filters on the MobileNAV pages, on the MobileNAV user interface basically, and that will basically filter pre-page content on online and offline mode as well. With that feature, you can have the base configuration, and then very easily on the user interface you can filter the offline data, because that is very interesting. If you have an offline mode, there you want to filter the items, the customers, because you have too much records. But for the mobile device, you don't want to push all the data down, but you might not want to write code for that, because you want to just have a very simplified filter on the item, like product groups or item category based on that, or you just want to see the items which have inventory at the moment. Similar or parallel to that, we have also enabled the saved filters central management, which means that from now on, in the configuration, you can define saved filters centrally. All users of MobileNAV will have that on their device, so they don't need to basically create those commonly used saved filters, so to say. Smaller stuff, I will also show you that during the presentation. So, first bigger feature, push notifications. There were some challenges because MobileNAV is running on all of the mobile platforms, and each and every platform has its own messaging solution. So Google Firebase, for example, or Apple push notification service, or Windows notification service. The last question, which is more interesting, that if you have a push notification service, then who pays the bill? So who will pay for the infrastructure, because of course nothing is for free. And basically we have decided to design a solution which is very easy to set up and tries to integrate all these different platforms together. And the solution was to create an Azure notification hub which can integrate with the different messaging systems like Google Firebase, Apple Push Notification, or Windows Notification Service. And that notification hub will handle all the different kind of devices. So you can send push notifications through that hub. But the second problem is that how do you invoke or how do you send a notification through the hub? That was not directly possible from Business Central, or especially Business Central SaaS. So for that, we have designed a very simple Azure function which you can also deploy. And so basically that's the two things what you need to do, and you need to deploy on your Azure subscription. We will provide you detailed instruction how you can set it up, but during the demo I will also try the impossible and also set it up together. What will be the steps? So first, of course, you need to have an Azure subscription, and if you have one, then you can start an Azure notification in a free tier start with, and you can already try out the notification hub and the Azure function, and you can test the push notifications what we have done. In the production system, maybe this free tier will be enough for a while. Later on, you might change the pricing tier. Okay, so and after that, you need to create the Azure Notification Hub, set up the connections of the Azure Notification Hub to the different notification services, then copy the access policies, basically the connection strings, the Notification Hub, and you need to create an Azure function. And for that, we will give you a zip deploy package, which you can easily drag and drop. You will also see that during the demo. And that will generate a send function, which the MobileNAV add-on can invoke from the on-prem or the SaaS version as well. And basically the last step is to configure the MobileNAV add-on to have all the different parameters like the hub name, the listen connection string, the full access connection string, and the Azure notification URL. And the last slide about notification, how to send it. So what will be the interface for you? It's very easy. From the MobileNAV user setup, you can send messages to the users directly. So if you select a user or multiple users, then you will have two functions to send a notification to users. And we have also created a couple of methods in the object functions code unit, which are public functions. And from with those, you can send push notifications to users or to certain profiles or to custom categories, because we have also enabled to define custom categories, and you can also send out push notification to a certain group, which is a custom group. Then you can send out to salespersons or resource numbers or locations as well. So these are the different functions. I will try to show these different options. But now let's try the impossible and put together this push notification stuff. So this is a free Azure subscription, what you see on the portal azure.com. And let's start with creating a notification hub, as I promised. So it's very easy. You can press this create button here. It will ask about the subscription. As I said, I'm having a free trial at the moment, and I don't have a resource group at the moment, so I will create a PN resource group. I will also specify the notification hub name. That should be a unique name of the notification hub. Sorry, this is the namespace, sorry, and this is the notification hub name, and both of these should be unique. And the last thing you need to choose is the location, so where this notification hub should be hosted, so where will it run basically. And that's also you create on the create, and the Azure system will start is magic, so it will start up the different services, and sooner or later the deployment will be ready, and we can continue the configuration of the notification hub. Until it's finishing, I would like to just show you smaller features which will follow later on, just to fill the time until the notification hub is building up. So let's start with the quite easy stuff, showing and hiding filters. In MobileNAV, as you can see, as you used to, you have a filter screen where you see all the different fields of the pages. But the problem was that together with the offline pages, the number of fields on the list pages start to grow, and you might not want to filter for all of them. So you normally use one or two of these during the day, and you don't want to see all of them. So that's why we have enabled two things. First of all, in the view settings, you can access the show hide filter panel, and it's similar to the card show hide fields. If you remember, you can enable or disable certain fields here, and if you do that, then next time if you open up the editor, then you will only see those fields for filtering. And we have also created the server side part of this. So you can, from the configuration, you can also enforce certain visibility, because if you open up the customer page, for example, in the configuration of MobileNAV, there we have introduced a new field, which is called visible as a filter. So if I scroll down, now you can see that we have a visible editable, and now we have a visible as filter option, which will be automatically upgraded. So if you upgrade your system to 6.0, then of course it will have the proper value from the visible flag, and basically you can from then on you can freely decide how you use your fields on the filter panel. So that was a smaller story which I wanted to show, but let's continue with the notification hub creation. So now our notification hub is ready. So what's next is to create a connection with the different platform specific notification services. So let's start with Google, and as I promised, we will have a nice document which will describe all the different steps what you need to take. For example, for the Android Google Firebase messaging, we have included, for example, the API key, which is mandatory for connecting the MobileNAV Android app together with the notification hub. So let's copy the API key and paste it to the notification hub configuration. I save the configuration, and basically that's all. So now we have connected our Google devices. The next one is the Apple. I just scroll down, and for Apple I need to configure a little bit more, because there are a little bit more fields here. I need to use authentication mode token. I need to copy these values. The same value will be needed for each and every notification hub which you create for MobileNAV, but these notification hubs will run into your subscription directly, so your customer or you as a partner can decide about the pricing tier. Okay, and the last thing is the token. I quickly copy that one as well, and I choose application mode production, and I save it. So that was the Apple part. So now that is also ready. And the last thing is to connect to Windows notification namespace, which is for the Universal Platform connection. So I copy the package SID for that. Sorry, this one. And I need to copy the security key. And I press save. So now we have quickly connected this new notification hub together with the different platforms. And the next step is to go to access policies, because in the access policies you can see the two created default connection string. The first connection string is for the listen connection string, that is meant to be used for the applications, because the application is basically only listening for the notifications. They cannot send notification out to other devices by default. I mean, this is your decision, but in MobileNAV we have chosen this approach. So for the MobileNAV devices, you will need the listen connection string, and for sending for the MobileNAV add-on, you will need the full access connection string. So now I copy the listen and I go to the MobileNAV general setup, because in the general setup of MobileNAV we have created a section for the Azure notification hub. Of course, here you need to enter the notification hub name, which we have defined, and that's what was PN12345. So that's already in place. I have copied out the listen connection string, so I paste it here. I go back and copy out the full access and insert it. And the last thing what I need to enter is the send notification Azure function URL. So what is the function, Azure function URL with which the add-on can invoke, and that will invoke the notification hub for sending out the notifications. That is still needed, so I need to go back to the portal and create another resource, which I also promised, is the function app. Oops, sorry. Then I also need to select the subscription. I can select an already existing resource group. I also need to give it a name for the function. I need to select .NET Core because that is what the package what we provide you build on. Yeah, you need to choose the storage account. The operating system should be Windows, I assume. You can select here the plan type, etc. You can decide about application insights. I don't want to have application insights for now, and I press create. So basically, I just create an empty function app now, and until that is basically building up, I will show you another thing in MobileNAV application. Let's continue the demonstration with some map view features. So in 6.0, we have implemented the map view on the lists. So if you have a list, like customer list, in this case, I'm having something like a 10 item in the list. I can go to the view settings from 6.0 and choose the map view, and that will switch the view. And also using the MobileNAV address fields, it will try to reverse geocode the addresses and have the GPS coordinates for those and point them on the map. And basically, this is just a different view for MobileNAV because still here you have this 10 or 9 records, and from here you can simply click on the different items. So I can click on the different items. That will open up the card view on next to the map view. So you can basically freely browse your customers in a nice map view, and basically this is just a different view for the list, which you can switch back and forth. So you can also switch back to the list view or go back to map view. That's basically possible. And basically the application will cache the different geocoded addresses. So next time if you open up and you try to reverse geocode the very same address, the system will know that it's already geocoded, and it will build up something like a cache. And that cache can be emptied out from the settings. So there is a delete geocoded addresses, and with that you can basically reset your cache if there is some changes in the addresses, or I don't know, there is a construction somewhere, and previously that address was not available, but now it is. Then you can reset this cache, and MobileNAV will start to reverse geocode it again. But let's see our deployment. Now the empty Azure function is ready. And what's next is that you go to the advanced tools in the Azure function and open up the advanced tool. The advanced tools for Azure functions is a nice tool where you can do many things. But the most important thing what we utilize here is the zip deploy. So basically, we can create a zip package for you, but you can basically very easily just drag and drop into this zip deploy portal, and the rest will be done by the system automatically. So here you can see a very simple interface, something like a file explorer, and we will give you a zip package as I promised. This is the published zip, and if I drag and drop it to this screen, then the system will start the processing. Basically what it does, it extracts the content, copies that to the proper folders, and the rest will be built up by the Azure framework. So it will create the necessary Azure functions in that subscription. So normally it takes a couple of seconds and it will basically detail what happened. So now it's ready. So you can see that the deployment was successful. So you can close the screen. And I have a good news for you, because now we are ready. So what's left is basically to go to functions, because as I promised, the send function of this Azure function will be created, and on that you have a get function URL which you can copy again and go back to the setup, to the general setup of MobileNAV, and paste that value, and we are ready. So basically we have configured the notification hub, we have connected them to the different messaging systems, and we have created an Azure function with a zip deploy package and connect everything together. And I haven't measured the time, but it was not longer than 5 to 10 minutes. And let's check out what we have done. So of course you need to log out and log in back again from the MobileNAV client. But once you do that, now this device is ready to receive push notifications. So let's try out. So let's go to the users of MobileNAV. I'm only having one user, so that's not a good demo environment, but still. And in the actions, I can select whether I want to send a push notification for a selected user, or I want to send a push notification to all users. And here it's a very simple environment, and I can send a push notification like server maintenance at 10 p.m. today. And if I press OK, then the rest will be done. So MobileNAV add-on will invoke the Azure function method function, and that will invoke the notification hub, and our notification hub will send it down to the devices. In this case, I'm having a Windows 10 device here, and as you have seen, there was a notification here, and I have received that as a notification on my PC. The good news is that on Windows and the Apple platform, the application don't even need to run, because you can also receive the push notification if the MobileNAV is not running. So you can send a push notification to groups or to all users, etc. You can do that, and you can use it for many different things. And as I promised, it's not just about sending a direct message from the users, but we have also created something like functions in the MobileNAV add-on, and I'm having one example here. It's a very simple example. I have created a service order allocation registration for the on after modify event, and in the on after modify of the service order allocation, I check whether the status became active from a not active state. And there I will basically also send some extra data, a field control command, which will open up the My Service task with the proper document number and line number. So that's basically a field control command what you got used to. Disclose all and open card will open a card in MobileNAV. And I also constructed some message like new service task has been assigned to you. And I basically search for the users in the MobileNAV setup and filter them by the resource number of the actual service order allocation. And if I'm constructing the user list, then I simply invoke this send push notification to users with the user list, with the message, with the field control, and the error message is just a return value. If there would be any problem, then you can also see and read the error message of the push notification sending. And we also have a silent parameter if you want to send it silently. So if there is any problem that you don't want to be notified about that, then you can set the silent parameter to true. Let's try this also out. I'm not promising that it will work, because just before demo I tried to construct and I did not have time to try it out. But let's try. we will give it a try. So service orders, I go to service orders and I select the service order like this one, and I will make a service order allocation on one of the service item lines. So I go to resource allocation of this line, for example. I choose Linda because that's the resource number of my MobileNAV user who is logged in. I will choose today and I set 1 hour. And fantastic, we have an automatically sent push notification on the device. A new service task has been assigned to you. And if I click on that, then the magic also happens. It will open up the My Service task, the proper My Service task, which has been assigned to me. This was the service order 00090 and free, and I can start processing. So we are providing SDK functions for you. You can also send direct messages to users, and you can also group them by different means like salespersons, locations, resource numbers, profiles, and you can also create custom categories. The custom categories are available in the MobileNAV user setup. So if I open up MobileNAV here and the users, then if you scroll to the end of the users, then you can see that we have a push notification categories, and this is a comma separated value. And if you define certain categories here, those will be handled like custom categories. So here you can basically group your users by any other mean. Okay, so that's about push notifications. I hope you enjoy the live demo. In the map view, we have already seen that it's based on the mobile type address fields, as I promised. There is a limitation for showing only the first 20 list item in the list. If you have more items, then of course you need to filter. So you narrow down the filter criteria, because I don't think it makes sense to display 100 coordinates on a map. And it's also a question about how fast the reverse geocode can work on those many items. And as you could see, you can click on the items and it will open up the card page of the certain record. The next one is the record current GPS position. We have basically made that available for function buttons. So if you have a function button or action button like creating a PDF or writing capturing the signature, then you can have a function which is also requires the user to register the GPS coordinate. How it is that is done? Basically based on the function parameters what you assign to the function button or the signature button, for example, because based on the function parameters, MobileNAV will know that it will also request the GPS position of the user. And the good news is that we have also prepared the base configuration, because all the extension function methods, what has been introduced beginning of this year, we have also extended these methods with the GPS version as well. So you can have an extension function, for example, for service item line, with or without GPS recording capability. And I can also show you how that works. In the configuration, it's not that complicated. So as I said, all you need to do, for example, on the My Service task, what we used for the previous demo as well, if I open it up, then you can see that in this certain configuration, I have already minimally changed the configuration of the start button. The start online button is now pointing to the service task extension function with the GPS version. And since this method has different parameters, so it has additional parameters like GPS latitude, longitude, etc. It will also force the MobileNAV client to request those coordinates. And I can also show you the server part, so to say, because I have created a very simple code unit, which is basically registers for this service task extension function as an event subscriber, and there I receive the event with the service item, and if the service name was the my service task and the field name was start online, then I basically execute the original stuff, and I also display a message with the parameters what the MobileNAV client sent to me, like latitude, longitude, precision, and date time. So this is just a small example how you can receive the registered GPS coordinates and what do you use it for, whether you are just putting those into a table or validating some checks, like I don't know, the user should be in the near boundary of the customer address in case of starting the service job, because you don't want to allow that the service task is started, I don't know, in the other city. So this can be used for many different reasons. Now in MobileNAV you have the possibility to register the coordinate, and what do you use it for? It's basically up to you. So I also demonstrate this to you quickly. So if I'm still having this newly assigned service task on my MobileNAV client, and I just simply press on the start button. And since this was configured for GPS recording, as you can see, the map opens up. It shows different things, like also shows you the last obtained location. So what was the last time when the location could be obtained. This can be interesting if you, at the moment, you don't have GPS signal, but I don't know, in 5 minutes ago, you had GPS signal and there you had some GPS positions, and you can also decide to use that because now you are inside the building and you don't want to go out just because to ordering the GPS coordinate. With the refresh button, you can always restart the GPS position, and now showing our place, our office in Budapest. So, and it also shows you the accuracy and the date and time of receiving the GPS coordinate. And if you say that, okay, this is my location, then you can simply press use here. If you press it, then the rest of the function button will be executed. So now the server side function method will be invoked. And since we have done a sample integration, I'm just showing a message with the recorded latitude, longitude, precision, and date time. That's for demo purposes, but I can also do something else on the server. And of course, the service is now in progress because I have pressed start. So that was the current GPS position. The predefined filters has been implemented via extending the page level filters. So the page level filters were already available for offline configuration, because the page level filter was an option for you to create a filter, which can also be enforced if you are disconnected from the server. So for example, if you have a my service task with the active items in the offline mode, the user has finished the service task, now its state became not progress or initial anymore, but finished, and you wanted to hide those from the user because he has processed the time. With page level filters, you could already create offline filter, which was always enforced by the MobileNAV client in the offline mode as well. And now we have extended that feature and defined a scope for the page level filter. And with the scope, you can define whether online, both, or offline should be available that particular page level filter. The online and both will also control the data content of the page. So it would be just like if you would write code in the on open page trigger of the page, or via modifying the set view on the source table view of the page object. So basically it will limit and filter the number of records on the page base. And the offline scope is the ELD version, which you can still use. That is for existing page level filters. If you upgrade, all those existing page level filters will be set to scope offline. But now you have scope online and both as well. And basically the outcome of this is that every page normally have one line as a mandatory line in the on open page trigger, and that is basically invoking a set user view of MobileNAV object function, and that basically applies the extra filter. Before that, it was just only applying the sorting flow filters. Now it also responsible for applying the extra filters, and it also recommended to surround with filter group because sometimes you might not want to have that as a breakable filter. So you need to surround by filter group, and that's all. And the other feature of this is that you can also turn on and off the page level filters on the profile level. So if you define a page level filter in the configuration, you can still say that for certain profiles, this filter should not be applied or should be applied. Yeah, but before I show you the central management, I also show you how does this predefined filter work. So I go to items, and if I scroll down to the offline section, then you can see the page level filters. And if you open up that up, then you can see that we have a new filter scope, and I'm already having a filter here which says that the items should be filtered by default for the inventory field, and the comparison type should be bigger than 0. So what you would expect that you will only see those items which has an inventory at the moment. So if you open up in MobileNAV the items, then you don't see any of those items which has inventory 0 at the moment. So with this feature, you can very easily from the user interface narrow down the items to be transferred to the device for offline mode or for online mode as well. So that's the page level filter. Okay, safe filter central management. That's also a very interesting topic, and I show that on the customers, because on the customer page I have already created a very simple saved filter. In the general section we have this new saved filter option here, and I've already defined a filter called London. And if I press on the show details on the saved filter, then you can see that it just selecting a field, in this case the city. You can specify the search type and the filter value. In this case, the London filter will only show you the cities, the addresses of London. I can also create, for example, a second one here, like Luton. And if I go into the details, show details, I say city. Much forward and Luton. So now we have two very simple centrally defined filters here, and all you need to do is just to log out from the client and log in back again, because it will now download the server side filters. And if I open up the customers again, then hopefully you will see them in action. Okay, so now it's downloading the configuration. Okay, I open up the customers, and if you press on the filters, now you can see that we have two options here, the London and the Luton. Both of them is signaled with a star. That means that these are server-side filters, so you cannot delete them. So if you go to the save filters here, then you cannot, you don't have a delete button. If you would create a user-defined filter, of course, then you can delete that. But you can also do on the save filters, you can also choose to have to make a certain filter default. So I can say that the London should be the default filter, and next time if I open up the customers, the London filter is already selected. One more extension to the recently introduced app settings. In 4.10, as far as I remember, we have introduced the app settings to be savable into a file. And if you save the app settings file, then you can transfer it to another device and import that. And with that approach, you can transfer different settings like favorites, saved filters, etc. Now, of course, with the central management of the saved filters, this feature is not that important anymore. But there can be also other settings which might meant to be transferred to the other devices as well easily. And now we have enabled to save the application settings as a default for the user. So now if you go to the MobileNAV settings, then you can say that export setting and save as default. And here you can define which portions of the application settings should be saved as a default for the user. Here you can uncheck certain things, so you don't want the shortcuts or the barcode settings for some reason. And if you say OK, then basically the current settings of this configuration will be uploaded to the server side. And on the server side, what you can do is that go to the MobileNAV user setup. And if I would have multiple users here, then you can easily copy the default application settings. Because if I click on the copy default application settings, there of course I don't have any users to select here. But if you select the user from which you want to copy, then you basically press this button here and select those which you want to have as a target, and the default settings of this user can be very easily copied to the others as default. And the next time those users will log in, they will see a nice message that a new server-side app settings is available. Do you want to apply it? And if you say yes, then just like you would import that file manually, the import window opens, and there you can select which portions of the application settings do you want to import. So basically now we made that even more easier to copy the MobileNAV application settings from device A to the device B, or device setting as a default. You can basically have the very same feeling if you are traveling across devices, because your default app settings will travel with you. So next time if you log in on a new device, then by default you can apply those settings from the other one, which you have copied the device settings. Okay, show height filters we have discussed. Device ID, it's also a smaller feature. Now we have introduced a new mobile type, device ID, and that allows you to basically register or record the device ID, the originating device ID where the request was coming from. If you use that mobile type, then basically the list of the records will be filtered by the actual device ID by default. So every device will only see his records by default, and if you press create, then by default the device ID field will be created by the actual device ID. If you don't want to use that mobile type, then you also have one more option, is the device ID extra parameter for the functions. If you create a function button, then you can supply one extra parameter, the device ID, and if you supply that, then MobileNAV will automatically send device ID, and on the server side part of the function call, you can access the device ID and save it to a field or something like that. So you can also use that for other reasons if you don't want to use the mobile type device ID for automatic filtering. And two more smaller things, staging. If you remember, we have a workflow and staging feature, and sometimes it was a bit convenient. The workflow is quite strict. So if there is a field with validation, like it enforces you to scan a certain barcode, and you don't have that barcode for any reasons because the barcode is damaged or something like that, then you didn't have any options to continue the workflow. Now you have the option to configure the workflow and staging in a way that certain validation behavior fields can be skipped or not. That's basically a decision of the configurator whether he wants to allow that or not. And if he allows that, then if he cannot scan a certain barcode, he can simply press next, and it will jump to the next field, and it would act like it would have been validated already. And that concludes my part in the presentation. I don't know whether we have any more slides, but feel free to write us some questions or comments. And I would like to very thank you for the attendance, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.